Hello there and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie from deliberatelycreative.blogspot.com. And I want to welcome you. I'm going to do a quick little doodle sketch. I've been doing a 30 doodles in 31 days. My dog may be barking in the background. Remember, I can't tell him to stop because he can't hear me. Quick doodle sketch for my last sketch for the 30 doodles in 31 days. It's being hosted by Poet Spice. And I had this little idea. I made a felt gnome earlier for Christmas time. And I decided I wanted to do a little drawing of him with a springtime theme. So I've already pre-sketched him out on here. I'm going to ink him up and then use a few watercolor pencils. I have a variety of watercolor pencils. I've got some Albrecht Durer, Faber Castell. I've got a Derwent watercolor pencil. I've got Prismacolor watercolor pencils. And it's real interesting that Prismacolor, I've got some that are the wood grain look and some that are the painted look. Interesting, but I don't know. They seem to work okay, and I'm keeping it a fairly limited palette: blues, greens, yellow. So on with the video, getting this sketched in. I hope that I can do this without blocking it too much for you. So I'm going to try doing it by just working it from the top down. Now, I love sketching. I love doodling and drawing. And the pencil lines are a suggestion to me. They don't necessarily mean that I have to follow the pencil lines that I put down. They're an idea. Nice thing about drawing is that if you draw from your own mind or draw from life with your own hand, and you're not tracing somebody else's design, which is perfectly fine if it's a design that's been given to you to do. If you're tracing your own design or drawing your own design, you have freedom. It's not expected to look any certain way. And I like that. This is a real cute little kind of cartoony version of one of my little felt Tomten gnomes. Just going to get him sketched in with the pen really lightly here, real quick. They end up with a lot of personality for being such a basic little design. Making his little robe go over his toes of his feet. Get his little shoes in here. When you use a basic design, you have some flexibility again. This is really interesting drawing and talking at the same time. And I will say when I don't know what I'm going to say next. That is just the way it is. You know, when you go into that part of your brain that doesn't use words, it just uses pictures. And it doesn't really have words for those pictures. It's just this shape means that thing that reminds you of a scent that you remember smelling when you were 6 years old. It's not the place in your mind that will help you pass a geometry test, and that's for certain. I'm so thankful to be done with having to pass geometry tests. That's quite a long time in my past. But here we go. A few more little lines and we'll be ready to start coloring. Just doing a few little tendrils here. Oh, need a couple more lines in his beard. And the bottom of the flower stem, the bottom of his robe, maybe a few tendrils, maybe another tendril. Let's see, maybe going out like this. This is sort of a morning glory flower that's in his hand. Just a quick little sketch. And there we are. So there's the little sketch. And now I am going to just erase off the pencil marks, because once you put the watercolor over the top of the pencil marks, they're kind of in there unless you really want to work through all of your watercolor and wear it off your page. I'm doing this on just a piece of drawing paper that's in a little sketchbook that I made for my, this sketchbook was made for my, whoops, wrong direction, for my January doodle days. And I was not very systematic in going through my book, and some days were on the back sides of other days, so it's all good. It is all good. I see there's a line that I want to put in. I want to put a little line on this side here, a couple little lines, maybe one coming this way, just to remind me that there's some shape there. And finish that little line. And maybe make his beard. There we go. Got to have the beard finished on both sides. There we are. Okay, so now we're just going to go in really quick and do some watercolor pencil. I'm using right now, this is a juniper green Albrecht Durer watercolor pencil. The neat thing about watercolor pencils, you don't have to color in the whole thing. You can just lay in a few flicks here and there, and then move on. You don't have to do all of the coloring. The water is going to move the color around. So I'm going to just lay in maybe a little bit darker in under the edge of his beard. I'm being a traditionalist here and giving him a green robe. And maybe in these areas where I know the shadows are going to be darker, I'll just lay the pencil in a little bit darker in those areas. And I know I want a little bit of a highlight, and I'm just going to use a yellow as my highlight. And this happens to be a Sunburst Yellow Prismacolor. And I know that as long as I'm coloring lightly, and I know that this is not going to be yellow, this is going to end up being a light green, because I'm laying it in rather thickly next to all of the light green or dark green. There we go. And come back here, put a little dark green up underneath of his hat, and then give him a little bit of green. I am not a slave to the edge of my lines. If a little bit of this color goes off the edge, I'm fine with that. Remember, I'm not coloring in like I would with a color pencil. This is just to give me the idea of the color, where it's going. I'm not let's see. Maybe he's going to end up with a little bit of yellow and purple on his hands, which will give us a bit of a kind of skin tone up in there. A little bit of purple in underneath of the edge of his hat. And then a little bit of this yellow tone. Just to kind of mix and give us a bit of some colors. This is not a realistic drawing. I have not captured a gnome to check with him to find out what color his skin really is. And I want to put a bit of blue in his beard and mustache area for the shadows, just because I can. Not too much. I don't want him to look like he's Bluebeard. Bluebeard was a pirate. This little gnome, is a sweet little gnome with a flower. But it's a blue flower, or it's a white flower, so it's going to have a blue shadow. And a little bit of a blue shadow on the inside here, and maybe a few spots of the, oh, and that was the Spectrum Blue Derwent watercolor. And this is the Mulberry Prismacolor right here. And put a few little flecks of that on this flower. Grab some yellow to put into these leaves before I do my green, just because. And a little bit of blue on this flower bud. And grab that, ooh, I've got a brighter green. Here's the bright green, it's a spring green. Maybe I'll drop a little bit of that up in his hat too. You want to spread the color around. You don't want to end up with a color being used only in one spot, unless it's, you know, a gem of rare price or something. But for us, we need to have some color moving around the whole thing. Move that color around, give it a chance to grow. And that flower is going to be, and this is back to the magenta Albrecht Durer. That's a little bit different flower here. I have no idea what it is. Kind of a magnolia looking flower. Maybe that's why I picked up the pinky purple color to go on it. All right, and then bring just a smattering of that dark green in here. This is an experiment. I haven't done a pre-draw or pre-paint of this one. This is just a quick doodle. I'm not too worried about making it look beautiful. I'd like it to look cute. So I have a Pentel water brush. This is a fairly small point. Let's see, fairly small point, and it is a nice wet brush. So I'm going to go in and just sort of work my way around some of these shadows and not push the color around too much to start off with. And I know from experience with these watercolor pencils that after I have wet them down, they will reactivate, but after they've been wet down once, they won't reactivate as aggressively. So I can move them around a little bit right now, let it dry a bit, and then come back and move it around a little bit more. And if a little bit of the green gets in there from his coat, I'm okay, because he is a natural little wizard gnome. He's a gardener, and gardeners have green stuff. They've got green fingers, and they've got green. And if his eyes were big enough, I'd make him have green eyes. All right. So now that I'm touching that dark, dark green, I want to sort of stick with dark green now. Move that around, moving it around, just giving it a touch of water to move it around. Remember, this is like a coloring book. This is not high art. This would never be something that I would try to put in an art show. This is for myself. This is fun. This is relaxation. And hopefully it's a nice little break for you. Take a look, take a break, and enjoy just a quick little video. I'm sort of smudging this color around a lot. I love that word, smudging. It's a made-up word. It's not a real word. To smush, to nudge, so to smudge, or to smudge. I guess it's smudging that I'm doing, but I'm not really. I'm smushing this paint around. And it is really close to being done. Not quite yet, but so close. Just a couple more spots to give color. Get these leaves in really quick. And this is a real-time video, so I think that I'm probably going to leave it real-time. That way I don't have to do a voiceover. And let's see here, clean off that green. Go in here with some water on this blue flower underneath of that shadow edge and on the inside here. And then clean off that brush again and then touch that purple. And just sort of smudge that purple around. I want it to have those little spots kind of still. I don't want to blend those out completely. Smudge this color here up on that flower that's, oh, that really does look like a little magnolia, doesn't it? Or tulip flower. I like that. All right, so if you enjoyed this quick little doodle and would like to see me do more of them, leave a comment, let me know, and I will get some more doodles on the schedule. If you like this, please click like, and if you want to know when I do more things like this, subscribe, and we will have a lot of fun together. Enjoy your day, get out, and do something creative.